So at first I wasn't going to talk about this because there's so much we don't know. But at this point I have to address it because we're seeing a divide in society that's uncovering a massive problem with how we see justice, law and order, sexual assault and power. So let's start from the beginning. Russell Brand has been accused by 4 women of sexually assaulting them between 2006 and 2013. These allegations were all made as part of a joint investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4's dispatches. These are all based in the UK. So anyone commenting on this should first read the full investigation, which can be found on the Times website, but here are the 4 allegations which I'm going to read straight from the report. And just to warn you, these are graphic accounts of sexual assault allegations. One woman alleges that Brand raped her against a wall in his Los Angeles home. She was treated at a rape crisis center on the same day, according to medical records. Text messages show that in the hours after leaving his house, she told Brand that she had been scared by him and felt taken advantage of, adding, quote, "When a girl says no, it means no," end quote. Brand replied, saying he was, quote, "very sorry." A second woman alleges that Brand assaulted her when he was 31 and she was 16 and still at school. She said he referred to her as, quote, "the child" during an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship that lasted for about 3 months, and that Brand once, quote, "forced his penis down her throat," end quote, making her choke. She says she tried to push him off and said she had to punch him in the stomach to make him stop. A third woman claims that he sexually assaulted her while she worked with him in Los Angeles, and that he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone else about her allegation. The fourth described being sexually assaulted by Brand and him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her. And this is a large investigation with witness accounts, text messages, etc., etc. So again, you should read it for yourself. And on the other side of this, after these accusations were published, Russell Brand released a video on YouTube denying the allegations, and it's important that I show this video in full, so here it is.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received 2 extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff, like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these 2 mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Okay, so to recap, what we have here are 4 serious allegations of behaviour ranging from gross to criminal, presented by a few mainstream media outlets in the UK against a well-known celebrity, and that celebrity has publicly denied the allegations. So now the next logical step would be to ask what the next steps are. And it looks like the next steps are some level of criminal investigation. So, according to the BBC, the Metropolitan Police have said that they've received a report of an alleged sexual assault in London in 2003, and they've said, quote, "We continue to encourage anyone who believes they may have been a victim of sexual offence, no matter how long ago it was, to contact us." And the LA Police Department have said that they haven't been notified of, quote, "any incidents, reports, or allegations regarding Russell Brand or any of the accusers," and they couldn't immediately confirm reports that an LAPD officer was alerted by a rape crisis centre in 2012 about one of the accusers being treated there following the alleged incident with Russell Brand. So that's where we are, and that's where we should stay. I don't know if Russell Brand did this. You don't know if Russell Brand did this. The only people who know what's true and what's not are the women making these accusations and Russell Brand. So the rational response here is to be shocked by these allegations, take them seriously, and wait for this to play out in the legal system. But we don't live in a rational time, and most people are just reacting like idiots. So first off, there's the outgrowth of the hashtag MeToo era, who take delight in taking down anyone who's not on their side. There are a lot of people assuming Russell Brand is guilty, simply because they don't like who he is, or what he says, or who he speaks with, or they just believe the insane notion that we must believe all women. And this has led to other truly outrageous actions, like Russell Brand being demonetized on YouTube. But there have also been some truly moronic responses from the other side. And as always, two things can be true at once. Yes, it's wrong that anyone is assuming Russell Brand is guilty, and it's obviously wrong that companies like YouTube are just passing judgment by demonetizing his account. Not illegal, sure, but wrong. Because I thought we live in a society that's supposed to value innocent until proven guilty, so any kind of rush to judgment is flying in the face of that. But I'm also seeing a return of a lot of ugly stuff that showed why the real Me Too movement needed to happen and still needs to happen. So for example, people are comparing this to Brett Kavanaugh, Clarence Thomas, and other empty accusations we've seen in American life in recent years, but there's one problem. Russell Brand is pushing the idea that there's a coordinated effort by the media in response to what he's been saying recently. But not only did this investigation start in 2019, these accusations are being made by the British media, not the American media, and their defamation laws are completely different. In the US, if someone thinks you defamed them by lying about you in the press and they sue you, they need to prove that what you said was false. But in the UK, the burden of proof is on the person being sued. So if Russell Brand sued The Times and Channel 4, they would have to prove that everything they reported was true, or else he could, with his resources, take them to court and bankrupt them, which he might do, but this raises the obvious point that consequences for just making stuff up in the press are serious and real in the UK in a way that they're just not in the US. And serious outlets like The Times are less likely to risk their entire organisation if they're not confident in their own work. We should be able to agree, if we're being serious people, and I know being serious is so out of style, we should be able to agree that these are allegations, they're serious, and more serious than the sort of unsubstantiated fiction produced during the sham Kavanaugh hearings. But a lot of people are pushing the idea that this is a trial by media, but The Times and Channel 4 are doing what the media is supposed to do. They're collecting information and sharing it. And yes, it would be great if the media showed just as much interest in a whole bunch of other stories, but that doesn't make this one not important. People aren't pissed because the media are investigating the alleged behaviour of a celebrity. They're pissed because they think Russell Brand is on their side. And this brings me to my second point. Every allegation is a one-off individual case and deserves to be treated this way. Yeah, there are fake allegations out there and they're disgusting, but there are also real allegations, and the only way to tell the fake from the real? Objective investigation, which can start in the media and should end with law enforcement. But that's not what people really want. Instead, people rush to judgment based on protecting their own narrative, even if it means contradicting their narrative. Don't forget, this all supposedly happened during the height of Russell Brand's fame in entertainment and Hollywood. This is an industry that a lot of people will happily say is dominated by abuse and sexual assault. So why does the assumption of collective guilt apply when it's targeting people you hate, but when it's someone you like, the broad strokes label just disappears? All of Hollywood are rapists, pedophiles, except for the people I like. What a standard. Because the truth is, there is no standard. We're seeing it from people who want Russell Brand to go down because they're assuming he's guilty, but you're also seeing it from people who say they want due process, but are also doing PR work for someone in their own bubble, saying things like, well, why didn't these women come forward before? Why did they wait so long? What's in it for them? But Russell Brand has changed. And this is going to piss a lot of people off, but it has to be said, this is the same old sexist crap that is the entire reason so many sexual assault victims never come forward. People are complaining that some of these women chose to remain anonymous, and then they're complaining that the ones who didn't remain anonymous just want fame and fortune. And would it be great if the victims of sexual assault, who are most of the time women, came forward immediately? Of course it would. But to demand this of them shows a total lack of empathy and understanding, almost always from men who have never spoken with someone who's actually gone through something like this. Sexual assault is one of the worst crimes, if not the worst crime possible, and it's a crime that stays with the victim in a way no other crime does. but it also brings a whole other wave of emotions and fears beyond just the attack. Fear of the attacker, fear of not being believed, fear of reliving the attack, fear of shame, fear of judgment, fear of being blamed. The people who are saying that Russell Brand isn't the person he used to be are the same people assuming that the alleged victims of sexual assault years ago are the same people now as they were then. Not only have the times changed, where accusations of sexual assault are taken way more seriously, but victims of sexual assault have grown as people. Some of them are adults now, but weren't when these attacks allegedly happened. So if the person accused has room for growth, why doesn't the accuser? The answer is simple. Victims of sexual assault already had a tough time, bordering on the impossible, and our complete overreaction to what the MeToo movement turned into has made it even worse. Instead of presuming the innocence of the accused and respecting the accuser and waiting for evidence, we assume the guilt of the accuser. Honestly, Megyn Kelly said it better than anyone.
Can I just tell you guys, I realize that the knee-jerk instinct now by so many is Russell Brand is wrongly accused. These women are all liars. I'm sorry, this is extremely detailed. And in the case of the other woman, there's an actual set of medical records after she went to a rape crisis center the day of the alleged encounter, plus apologetic, begging for forgiveness text from Russell Brand. Could you please for a second stay open-minded to the possibility that the women are telling the truth? We don't need to so overcorrect from the Me Too movement that every woman gets completely disregarded and called a liar when she finds the guts to come forward and make an allegation. They may be telling the truth. It's worth investigating. We don't need to knee-jerk condemn him, and we don't need to knee-jerk condemn them. I'm just pissed because what I've seen is like a rash of guys coming out to be like, it's bullshit. You don't know whether it's bullshit or not. Did you read the report of this woman? Did you read the alleged rape details? Did you read the text message that she has from Russell Brand begging for forgiveness? There's at least enough for us to want more facts.
And that's the thing. I don't know if Russell Brand is guilty. You don't know if Russell Brand is guilty. These women might be telling the truth. They might be lying. Some of them might be telling the truth. Some of them might be lying. But unlike Brett Kavanaugh or Clarence Thomas, there is evidence as a result of journalistic investigation that comes with severe defamation consequences if it is all just rubbish. So the only response here that makes any sense is to wait. Due process is the answer. But that's due process for both sides, not due process for the person or people you want to win. All I'm seeing is a rush to judgment by both sides based on what they want. And in that system, justice can never be found.